Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living, right here on self-discoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful guest today is Tamara Stevens, and we're going to be talking about, are you ready to get the most out of your everyday life? She says her background was consumed by low self-esteem, depression, suicidal ideation. Conventional therapies such as mediation therapy and meditation did not work for her. However, by reading self-help books, integrating spiritual practices into her daily life, she broke through the limiting beliefs and began to live a life of progression and joy. She is passionate about sharing her journey and the lessons learned along the way, and to help others feel that joy as well. She believes that when individuals live more joyous lives, they contribute to joyous communities. And when communities are grounded in progression and joy, they can create ever-expanding ripple effect of positivity and well-being across states, countries, continents. She's a doctorate prepared registered nurse, PhD, who currently serves as a professor of nursing. She's also an accomplished author, a sought-after motivational speaker, a transformational life coach, and her journey from adversity to achievement is powerful testament to her resilience, passion, and unwavering dedication to making a difference into the lives of others. And we're going to be talking about her new book, Well, of Course. And I think it's absolutely you could say, well, of course, or well, of course. And we're going to be talking about what the book is all about. But there's a statement that you've made here that I absolutely love, which is when we find joy, we elevate ourselves and we bring that joy to our communities, thus the ripple effect of how it actually ripples around the world. And I don't think people really realize that. I'm only one person. What difference does it make? Well, when you're in a higher elevation of good vibrations, that ripple effect lifts everybody else up. And then we start seeing less problems in the world because more people are living in joy. So it makes sense, doesn't it, Tamara?
It makes absolute sense. It makes absolute sense. First of all, thank you, Miss Sarah Troy, for having me. It is a pleasure and honor to be here with you today.
My pleasure having you.
And thank you. It goes back to that old statement that smiles are contagious, right?
Yes.
So if we think about when we just are walking in the grocery store or walking in the mall and we see somebody and we smile, they just automatically smile back most of the time, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well, there's an energy there. There's an energy. We're all connected. And I truly believe that when we are illuminating an energy of joy, it's just contagious. It
Yeah,
passes on to others.
absolutely. Because let's face it, life brings us down. I hope that you're not hearing that because something weird is going on that side here.
No, I didn't hear anything.
Okay, I have something going on my computer at the present moment that's uh, really wanting to be weird. So I'm going to cut this out of the thing, but it's going nuts and I don't know what's going on. You can't hear that.
I can't hear it.
Well, I'm glad, but I don't know how to stop it.
Uh-oh. Is it like music? Is it a music
D
tune?
is unavailable. Its location in this P maker device connected to this disk. I don't know. It's trying to tell me something, and I don't know what. I'm sorry. I don't know what is going on with my computer today. Maybe I'm going to take that off. Ah, okay. It didn't want to read the apparatus. All right.
Oh,
I will
okay.
cut that out of the thing. But um, pause. Get back into it. When we are in those good vibrations, and just as you said, a simple smile. Somebody may feel unseen. Nobody notices me. Nobody cares. And then you look them in the eyes and you smile at them. And it says, I see you. I care. Follow up. How's your day going? We're even
Right.
talking about the weather. I acknowledge you. And we're in a world where we feel so alone, with a world where we have so much connection opportunity today, yet we feel so alone and isolated because we're not making the vibrational connection. We're not making that connection face to face, or a connection where we feel, the souls are talking, right?
Right. Absolutely. You know, and then I think we also live in a society and in a world right now where we set our own limitations, okay?
Mm,
And we decide who we can learn from, who we can feel from. And instead of taking on the idea that everybody around us has a vibration and something to offer. So even going to the grocery store, I tell a story about a time I was in a grocery store and I was consumed with something that was going on in my life at the time. And I was looking for just a pack of meat.
mm,
And the butcher started to talk to me. I didn't even realize he was talking to me.
mm,
And he engaged me in a conversation once I realized he was talking to me, and he was teaching me about different kinds of meats at the time. And I had to settle my mind and get, okay, he's talking to me, he's teaching me about meats. I wasn't ready for this conversation, but let me engage. We talked for about 30 minutes. And I was so enlightened, and he lifted my vibration up out of
mm,
where I was
mm.
just in a conversation about different cuts of meat. I would have never went to the butcher in the grocery store to elevate my
You're right,
my
exactly. Exactly.
but in a moment there was one little moment of irritation that I wanted to kind of walk away, but instead I kind of settled into that moment and accepted what the universe was giving me through this man.
Yeah,
And I walked out of that grocery store in a completely different mindset than when I walked in. So I say that to say we all have to open ourselves up sometimes and
yeah,
just allow the works of the universe to work in our lives, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
I When I was doing my counseling work, there was a metaphorical journey that I used to take people on called Of Your View of Life. And these people would answer their questions, and then I would reveal to it what it meant. And 9 times out of 10, people were not paying attention to all the signs that were around them, the people they were meant to meet, the things they were meant to observe, the things that were blatantly in front of them. And walking on the path of life in such misery and frustration and anger and disillusionment that they didn't realize the answers were in front of them all the time. And this has become very much a state of being of human nature. It's like chasing our tails, but like, well, what's it all about? I don't know how to get out of this. Well, stop for a second, lift your head up and engage.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Sarah, you are speaking everything that I try to teach in
Mm,
that little bit you just said, everything I try to teach, paying attention to
yeah.
the little moments of our lives, because I truly believe that we are constantly provided with lessons.
Yes.
Though for me, the grocery store, that was a lesson. It was a lesson to slow down and open myself up, even
Yeah.
even when I feel resistance. And every day, I believe every day we are provided with lessons that are kind of guiding us towards our purpose, guiding us to answers that we're seeking. But we're so entrenched in the chaos, so to
Yeah.
speak, that we forget to appreciate and pay attention and be aware of those little moments that are teaching us so much, you know.
Life is constantly talking to us,
Yes.
right? The universe, the trouble is people don't know how to ask the universe, God, universe, spirit, Gus, whatever you want to call it, right? And nobody knows actually how to ask for what they need because they're asking for the superficial. They're
Yes.
asking for the exterior, not the interior. And if it's like, God, how do I find my path to meaningful purpose? How do I find my path to connection? How do I find my path to love? right?
Mhm.
And it's then get out of the way and then pay attention.
And pay attention. Absolutely, and pay attention. Paying attention is, there's a book. Oh, oh man, it's just I lost it.
It'll
But
come
there's
back
a
to you.
book. It'll come back to me.
Yeah,
But there's a book written, and I think it's Eckhart Tolle who wrote this book, if I'm not mistaken. But it's about being in the present moment,
right.
basically, the present now, being in the now. We are we historically tend to stay either in the past
Hmm.
that can bring sadness and depression about things that have happened, or the future, which causes anxiety sometimes,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But not really appreciating the moment. And as you said before, some things are just placed right in front of us.
Yeah.
But because we're either back there somewhere or looking out there somewhere, we're not paying attention to what's right here. And I truly believe that once, for me in my life, it started to change when I realized, wow, there are things happening that I don't give any attention to that
Mm,
are teaching me something.
yeah.
So I had to slow down and put myself in a place where I had a structured way of understanding what's happening in the moments of my day that I should be
Mm.
learning from. And
Hmm.
what happens in a moment of my day, it could be the same thing that happens in a moment of yours, but you're in a different path than me. So
Yeah.
you get a different lesson from it,
Exactly. I mean, I always say, like with podcasts or reading a book, this is why you have book clubs. People will share what they're getting out of it. And this is why I say to people, have podcast parties. All
Yeah,
listen to the same podcast, take notes, and then share what you got out of it. Because everybody would have got something different. And then you've got
right.
a rounder picture from it. And what you're going to get out of the experience, no matter book, podcast, talking to people, is what you are needing in that moment.
Absolutely. That's exactly the truth. You will get what you need. And sometimes what you need, again, it's not going to be the same as what somebody else's needs, but it doesn't mean that it can't enhance their experience as well.
Yeah.
So having that group, that collective conversation is so beautiful. It's so
Mm.
beautiful just to see and learn from other people. And again, it's that community of growth, right? Just a community of growth and well-being and joy that you create.
Choose positive living. It is a
Choose.
choice, right? We can choose to be miserable
Mm-hmm.
and look for miserable company, and I'm guaranteed you will find it. Or you
Yeah.
can choose to think positively, right? And live in that positive realm. One of the things is turn off the news. To, stop talking to people that are perpetually in misery land because they're enjoying themselves there. Right?
They
It
are.
it
They
does
are.
take some work and effort to move over, and they just don't want to do that because they love being miserable and making everybody else around them miserable. You can't do anything for them.
Right.
You've got to do it for yourself.
I agree.
So many people I say to, back to what you were saying before, simple things in life, simple signs in life. Go for a walk in nature. Watch puppy dogs chasing a stick or a ball. Watch a kid at the beach or in the park. If you don't crack a smile somewhere along the line, you're not human.
It's true. It's true. And you have to find that thing that inspires
Mm,
you. Like you said, whether it's nature or kids or the mountains, nature can be broken down into so many different
yeah.
areas, right? I'm a beach person. When I'm in
Hmm.
the beach, it's heaven
You're
to me,
home. You're
right?
home. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
home because I feel completely surrounded by the
Yes.
love of God at the
Mm,
beach, from my feet to the sun to the
mm,
ocean, everything. But some people like the mountains just the
yeah,
same.
yeah,
So, exploring and being open and seeing where do I feel the closest to my creator, and,
yeah.
and embracing that, just embracing it and placing
It's a
yourself there.
conduit, right? It's a
Yes.
conduit. Like water is a conduit. Like I was this last weekend, we had the long weekend, Labor Day weekend. My family were away, so I've just newly moved to where I am. And about 40 minutes away is a very beautiful beach. Now, I'm not talking about white sands, but it's that a very long beach and just the panoramic view of the ocean that
mm,
goes all around and then the blue sky and then a little bit of land kind of, contouring it. And I spent the day there. I had lunch, the restaurant right there on the beach, went off and
mm,
had a beer somewhere else right there. And just listening at the water coming in. Oh, I'd love the sound as the water and the waves gently come into the shore. And there's just something about water, and especially if you are in it, it really, even in your shower, folks. So this is the time to kind of do your prayers or affirmations because water is a conduit. It's absolutely
mm,
brilliant. But if you're in a lake or in the ocean, and yes, it's so feeding. So what feeds you? And you might have to go and do some exploration to find out what is it that makes you feel different.
right, right, right. I someone asked me one time, I'm on this positivity, think positive, change your mindset. And the person asked me, is there any significance to feeling negative, right? Or
Yeah.
is there any good in those
Mm,
negative thoughts? And, there's balance, right? You
mhm,
have to have balance. You have to understand negativity to understand what positivity is,
mhm.
and we all have
And to
things
be
that
grateful
happen.
for it.
And to be grateful for it, yes, and to be grateful. We all have things that happen in life that bring us down, but it is the way you respond and
Mm,
what the steps that you take to heal yourself. Do you take any steps to heal yourself? Finding yourself in those places that make you feel great, or having conversations, being in groups that make you feel better. It's so important that we take steps, and not stay in negativity. I would never say I don't have negative thoughts. I
right.
probably have them on a daily basis. I'm to a place in my life where I recognize it earlier, and
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
allow myself to stay there because I don't want to be in that space,
Exactly.
because I've chosen I've decided that that's not the life that I want to live,
Mm.
so I do things every day.
Exactly. And that's what you have to do daily. I suffer from clinical depression. It's just part of my condition. And, sometimes it's overwhelming, like, and sometimes, the rabbit hole used to open up and I don't have the
Mhm.
rabbit hole anymore because I now know, ooh, I'm feeling like that. What do I need to do? What is the
Right.
universe trying to tell me? Am I overwhelmed? Am I overworked? Am I overtired? Or do I just need to have a pause right now? Put on some music. And there's
Right.
something about music, it's not to do with the lyrics, it's the music itself, where certain music recalibrates you,
Yes.
rebalances you, and it can just put you back into a rhythm where that depression then just finds its way out the door. But there's no point in trying to ignore it or
Mm-mm.
numb it. It's face it. Sometimes it's trying to tell you something, and sometimes it's just a feeling. Okay, put on some music because I choose to be uplifted rather than go down that rabbit hole. And it's not always daily, but it comes on at most peculiar times, right? And when you think, well, why is this here? But it's clinical, so it doesn't have a
Right.
reason. So it's it's knowing yourself of
Yeah.
what your triggers are or oh, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling a little out of breath. Okay, then that's the universe telling you to slow down. This is
Mhm.
take five, right? This is
Take
going to do
5.
something for yourself, and we've got to pay those signs that are out there. They're in here too. Pay attention to the signs inside here, right? and
Mhm. Mhm.
and do something about it. Don't ignore it.
And that's the most important part, the doing something about it. And the first thing is
Yeah, yeah,
recognizing it as early as possible. And so that was a big thing for me during my process of growth was, I wouldn't recognize how I was feeling until it was detrimental,
yeah.
until I was almost paralyzed in those
Hmm.
negative feelings. But I have learned over the years to recognize it as early as possible,
Hmm.
and actually to take steps to make myself
Yeah.
feel better. And, you know, I think sometimes people think I can talk myself out of it.
Mm.
And that's not always easy because where is it happening? It's happening in the mind, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
This, however you're feeling, whether it's depression or whatever, low self-esteem, it's happening in the mind. So it's a little difficult for at sometimes to fix something at the source of where it's happening. So getting out in nature and knowing, like we've been saying this whole time, what is it? What do I need to change in my environment? You know,
Mm,
music
mm.
is vibrational. So those
Yes.
vibrations help to kind of change the vibration within
Mm,
waves.
mm.
You talked
Yeah,
about waves a little while ago.
yes,
There's a rhythm to waves,
yes.
right? And that rhythm and that vibration of those waves can help settle what's going
Mm.
on. And then you can start working on,
Yeah.
so what do I need to change internally?
Well, you talked about waves and vibration. We are fluid creatures.
Yes.
Right, the oxygen in our body, the blood in our body, the energy in our body, the water in our body must constantly be in flow. If it stagnates, that's when we get dis-ease of the mind or of the body. So we need to be in flow with our lives. What gives you a rhythm of life that you feel is perpetually, momentously moving forward? Because that's what we're designed to do, is move forward, not be stagnant. Right? And how do we stay in that rhythm and not suddenly feel like somebody's put the needle across the record? But recognize your own rhythm. What is your rhythm?
What is your rhythm? What is your rhythm? And I believe that, just in this moment, you're making me realize that finding your place in nature, I think everybody has a place in
Yeah.
nature that makes them feel, whether it's the beach or the mountains or the desert or, just somewhere. Some people, even the bright lights of a New York City, you know, at the very essence of that is about that rhythm, the
Hmm.
sounds that you hear, the feelings that you get on your body. I
Hmm.
think, and that's what you get in line with. And you just have to find that thing for yourself.
Yes,
What is
and
it?
that's
What
that's the
is it?
exploration of life. That's what's
Yeah.
exciting, right? For me, trees, breeze, and water.
Yep.
Now, I am less than a kilometer from water. I have
Mm.
trees all around me here, and we constantly have a breeze, right?
Oh,
So for me, the breeze clears the cobwebs. The trees are the very oxygen to my lungs, and they speak to me, right? And the water surrounds me because I live on Vancouver Island. We are completely surrounded. And I'm right on the water side of things, not the mountain side of things. So that water is constantly there. And it's find your place, your soil that you feel
yes.
I can plant and grow from here because I
Yes.
feel it's feeding me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're in a location where you can essentially walk outside and be right where you need to be.
Yes, I mean, a little drive just down the road to the waterfront, and it's
Okay.
right there. I have this beautiful monkey puzzle tree right outside here because I've just moved
Oh,
here, and I love this tree. I love it. It's just so full of expression. I have deer walking in my garden,
yeah.
but I am 3 to 5 minutes away from any stores or from downtown
Mm,
because
mm,
and that's the beauty of the island. We're not big high rise or big city things. Victoria's become a
mhm.
bit like that, but we are the land, which is
Right.
beautiful. And it's got such a great vibe to it. And I had to leave Vancouver Lower Mainland, which is very beautiful, absolutely wonderful, but I couldn't take the vibration and the static anymore. And so
Mhm.
it's okay. I mean, I did that at what age was I? 63, right? So, um, oh no, 64, 63, somewhere around there in that year. And it's never too late to change. Do not think,
Mm,
well, my age, I shouldn't be doing this. No, you at that age, you know what you want,
mhm.
right? Because you've taken that journey of life. I've got a new anthology coming up soon called Our Forgotten Seniors. We did Our Forgotten Children beginning of the year, which is on the raising of our children and what we're doing wrong, and now it's about our seniors and the gift that they are, the gift, the bumpy road they've taken to pave it for you, right?
Right.
And what they are still giving, but also how we are aging longer. Well, that doesn't mean we have to give up and start knitting. It's all about, okay, I have limitations physically or financially or this or that, but there's so much other stuff that I can do now,
Right. There's so
right?
much,
Because,
much.
and so much
Mhm.
more. So, a lot of people are stressed because they're young and it's exams or career. And then it's stressed because you have children and they're constantly crying. And then you're stressed because you've got teenagers because they've turned into the exorcist. And then, you've got the midlife crisis and then they're older. And at some point, there's always going to be something that comes to challenge you. But
Mhm.
how do we choose to face the challenge?
Right.
Right? That's the choice.
And that's so brilliant what you're saying. If you look at everything that you just said, it's like if you don't prioritize enjoying the moments of your life, you
Mm.
can spend a lifetime in stress,
Yes.
stressed out and anxious and depressed, because at every stage of life there is going to be something that's going to hug and pull and
Mm.
grab for your attention. So it's so important for people to gain some practices
Mm.
so that they enjoy that they can so that they can choose positivity, like you said,
Yeah.
in every stage of their life. I am, and I shared this with you, I'm a professor of nursing.
Hmm.
And nursing is a very nursing school. Going to college to become a registered nurse is challenging. It's a rigorous program. And so my students come in and they've heard all of these terrible things, right before they're coming in. And I can almost see the tension in their body, and the fear and the anxiety and the nervousness. And I call it out. I say, this is how you're feeling. And they're like, yeah,
Yeah.
she knows. She knows. I'm like, one, I know because I've been there.
Yes.
But one of in addition to all the nursing that I teach them, I am very intentional in trying to teach my students this is part of your journey and you should enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be challenging, but I want you to be excited about what you're learning. That's the joy,
Hmm.
right? Yeah, nobody likes taking exams, but what about all the stuff you learned to prepare for the exam? Be excited about it. And I say that to say, in every in every phase of life, when we have those things that we're stressed out about, we have to focus more on what's the pleasure of raising
Mm.
these children that I love so much. You
Exactly.
know, what is the pleasure of me getting to an age that I can retire and relax a little bit more, sleep in when I want to, or stay up late if I want to. There's always something else to focus on other than the stress of it.
Right.
And it's important that we recognize that in the different stages, because if not, you get to be 90 and you're like, wow, I spent my whole life stressed. And
Exactly.
now I'm 90.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know.
Yes.
And
If you make 90, because most the stress will kill you, right?
yeah,
So even if you make
absolutely.
that, but you're absolutely right. It's it's how we choose to look at something. Instead of looking, oh, it's a challenge. Go, this is a challenge, and I'm up to
Mhm.
meeting it,
Right.
right? And like everything that we face in life, when you're pregnant, right? I've been 3 times, so when you're pregnant and you're going through morning sickness and baby's kicking you and your back hurting and all of that, and then the labor. You're right. Giving actual birth. The second that baby's put in your arms, you've forgotten everything.
Forgotten
All there
everything.
is the joy of this beautiful little being in your arms,
Yeah.
right? And nothing else matters at that
Mhm.
time. Never mind all the stress they're going to give you in your life. There's nothing else that matters. And and that's that fundamental core of love. What matters in the end? What
It's
matters in
love.
the end? Hmm.
Love.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love. Love.
It's all.
And that's all.
Yeah.
When you think about joy and you think about positivity, if you broke it down to its simplest element, it's love,
Yes.
right? Loving yourself and loving the universe and loving everything and everyone that you're connected to. That's it. That's
Loving
the
life. How many people say,
loving
I
life,
love my life,
right?
right? And
Right.
it's like if you can't say I love my life, Well, I love my life, but I hate my job. Well, how many hours are you at your job every week? 40 hours of your life you hate. Well, why aren't you doing something you love?
Right.
All right. Don't you think this is time to
Absolutely.
kind of change careers, change directions? I've
Change
interviewed so many people who've been the six figures, the CEOs, they got the great house, the great car, the great title, and all that money, but they became a slave to the job and they had
hmm
no time to enjoy anything. So, lost the house in the divorce, crashed the car, had a heart attack, all of that. And then they, after that, what I call the cosmic two by four, because then the cosmic gives us nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Are you paying attention? Then a whackaroo when you're not, right?
Yep.
And it's from that cosmic two by four after finish moaning about, that hurt. Uh, okay, what's really the lesson here? I've got to grow again from the ground up. But
Mhm.
what lessons have I learned of not to do? And what do I really need to focus on?
Right. Enjoying the journey.
Exactly.
Enjoying the
Yes.
journey. And when you
Yes.
find parts of your journey that you can that aren't making you happy or making you miserable, you hate,
Mm,
then making choices sooner to change that part when you can.
exactly.
Sometimes it's a little difficult, but again, action. Taking action and do what you need to do to get where you need to be.
Exactly. So many parents today, I was lucky that I was a stay-at-home mum most of the time. I had a couple of little careers along there, but it was always the children kind of called me back. And, be after school, my house was open. We always had afternoon tea. So whoever came over, and then dinner, who's staying for dinner. And my house was a safe haven for kids that were having difficulty at home. All right. Or had a fight with someone, was that hard-boiled egg. I don't know if you know about this. This is something to remember, folks. A little tip. My kids will laugh at me sharing this. Hard-boil an egg. Take the shell off while the egg is hot and apply the egg to wherever the area is that's been hit and it absorbs all the bruising. So it takes it from
Oh,
first stage to last stage. So you wait until the egg is completely cold and throw away the egg. Please don't eat it. And it is marvelous. It takes away the pain, takes away the swelling, and it takes it right to last stage. So I don't know how many hard-boiled eggs I have applied to my kids' friends that have come over with, something. But it,
wow.
it's a little tip. Throw in a little tip there. It works. I promise you it works.
Yeah, wow.
But there's always going to be something that you've got to face. Well, the
Mhm.
more that you're willing to listen to podcasts, read books, um, talk to other people, the more you are accumulating knowledge that you kind of put on the shelf. I don't need that right now, but there's going to be a point, oh gosh, I need that. I can take it off the shelf and use it. And it's be willing to learn along the way because you never know when you're going to need that knowledge at any particular time.
Absolutely. You know, when as you shared earlier in my introduction, I went through a all of my teens, and into my 20s, I was completely depressed.
Mhm.
Just and medication, therapy, those things just didn't help. Mostly because I wasn't compliant. I have to
Right.
put that out there. I wasn't compliant. However, once I started to read and once I started to learn more about how much control I really did have over how I felt, it didn't all make sense at first. It was
Yeah.
so much, it was so overwhelming. It was so much information. It was asking me to do more than I had ever done before internally. I couldn't use all of that information back then.
No.
But over the years, and as
Mm.
I grow, like you said, as I've grown, I've been able to remember things and pull things back and say, hey, I need to go revisit that book. I remember
Yeah.
something in that book. But it was it's a journey.
Mm.
It's a journey, and you don't take one big leap. It's little
One step
steps
at a
along the
time,
way,
right? One
one
step at
step
a
at a
time.
time, one step at a time. So I completely agree with that. You learn things, you put it in the back of your mind. Sometimes you use what you can in the moment, but be open to, or just know that everything you've learned at some point you're going to need it. You're being developed along the way.
Hmm. Well,
you
yeah,
know.
I mean, that's a maturing, right? A good bottle of wine matures over a period of time, and so do we. We
Hmm.
understand, this is where wisdom comes in. I call it the knowingness, kind of the divine knowingness, where the universe knows what it needs to know and it imparts it to you. And that wisdom to know what you need to know when you need to know it. And it
Hmm.
resonates with the knowledge, but a lot of knowledge in there. Okay, it's knowledge, but until you have the wisdom of knowing how to use the knowledge,
Right.
right? And that wisdom comes through life experience, opening up to the universe, divine God, universe, whatever you wish to call it, and allowing it to come through you to resonate with your heart and truth, to give to your spirit and action, and for your mind to find the clarity it needs when it needs to know, right?
Right.
And that is allowing. And very often we're so much in our heads, with so much data that is unrelevant to where we're at. And I think that does cause us to constantly question, am I dumb or am I worthy? Am I this? Am I that? Because we're too much in this expectation
Hmm.
that's been imposed upon us instead of, well, what is really my essence and what am I
Right.
really here to do?
Right. Yeah, we have imposter syndrome about ourselves and
Exactly,
the truth of
exactly.
who we are.
Yes, exactly. And do we know who we are? We're living up to an expectation. I
Hmm.
should be this by now. I should be that by now. I can't be worthy of anything because I'm not there yet. Well, who dictated that?
And that's another really phenomenal point that you're making. We have these expectations, and at some point you have to reflect and think, who set these expectations for me? You
Exactly.
know, where did the expectation originate? Was it really me, or was it my parents, or was it
Mm,
society, or was it church, or where did the expectation come from? And does it really resonate with the direction that I feel like I'm being pulled in? You
yes.
know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the book. What brought about writing the book?
What brought about writing this book? I had an experience, and I guess I'll share a little bit about the experience. It's a long experience. I write about it. But basically, I was on the phone with the IRS,
Hmm.
and they put me on hold. Um, and I was on hold so long that I started to get ready. I had an appointment. So I started to get ready for this appointment, and I was on hold until I pulled into the parking lots of my appointment. So I got dressed, I took a shower, did my hair, brushed my teeth, I did everything on hold with the IRS. And once I pulled into the parking lot, they answered. I asked my question, it was answered in less than 2 minutes, and I was off to my day. Well, I kept thinking about that, and I kept thinking about the fact that what if I had not been making progress while I waited?
Ah, yes. Mm,
So I made progress. I made progress while I waited. I waited, but I kept doing things.
hmm.
And at that point in my life, that was a paramount lesson.
Mm,
Make progress while you wait.
hmm.
And so it was like an aha moment for me. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, there was a whole lesson
Yes.
in in this IRS call that had I not thought about it so much,
Hmm.
I would have never gotten that lesson. And it was such an important thing for me to know at that point in my life that I needed to be making progress while I waited. And then it inspired that thought. What if this is happening all the time and I'm missing all of these lessons?
Yeah.
So I started journaling about the lessons. And I started journaling about little things, regular things that happen in everyday life and what I learned from it. And when I realized that, yeah, the universe is always
Hmm.
teaching us. And if
Hmm.
we can get it on the level of an everyday experience, it doesn't always have to be a catastrophe for
Yeah.
us to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
And so, well, of course, the subtitle is There is an Art to Enhancing Your Life Experience. That understanding the fact that the universe was always giving me lessons enhanced my life experience. And
Hmm.
the art of that was slowing down
Yeah.
and figuring out the lessons in my everyday life experience. So this book is just an account of that. I talk about little things that happened, and what did I learn from them?
Hmm.
What was the overall um, theme behind those lessons?
Mm. There's two folds I want to go with this. A, I love the title, well, of course,
Thank
but
you.
also the doing something like I'll put my phone on speaker while I'm waiting and I'm on my computer and I'm doing something. I can't just sit there twiddling my thumbs. I've got to be doing something. Otherwise, it's just becomes irritating the amount of time that you're wasting, right? So
Right,
be productive, do something. But the metaphor for life is you're waiting to find that great job, fall in love or do this, accomplish that particular goal. And nothing happens while you sit back and wait. You are meant to be proactive in making
right.
it happen. Even the manifestation, I would like to have this. Well, now it's going to give you one, two, three, four steps to achieve it. It's not just going
Right,
to dump it into your life. And if we
right.
don't pay attention back to those signs, and if we're not proactive in the meantime, then we're forever waiting and never receiving, right?
And
So
nothing happens.
nothing happens. So the proactiveness is that I'm always saying to people is you've got to be proactive in your own life,
Hmm.
right? It's not for someone else to be proactive in your life. You've got to be proactive in your life. And by one step in front of the other, paying attention, I really would like to achieve that. I'm waiting for that to happen. How do you make it happen? How do you help it come to be? And if you have got time, which let's face it, like everything kind of wastes our time these days. You can't make a phone call without being put on hold, or you've got
Right.
to wait for this or wait for that. And it's like, well, do you just sit back and wait?
Right.
No,
Mm-mm.
that's wasting life. That's wasting time. So what can you do in the meantime?
What can you do in the meantime? Yep.
And what benefits can you get from what you're doing in the meantime?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
plant something, you plant seeds. Remember to water and nurture them, but you have to allow them to grow, right? The
Right.
watering, the nurturing them, the talking to the plants, right? Putting them in the right light, it's
Right.
going to help it grow. But if you just go, well, here's seeds, I'm never going to water you, you're in the dark, just grow on your own, it ain't going to happen, baby.
It doesn't happen.
Mhm.
It doesn't happen. So yeah, that was a great lesson for me at that time. I was
Mhm. Who
just
knew
going
the
through a
IRS could give you such great lessons?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
Probably the only gift they'll ever give you. Yes. But it's recognizing that, right? It's recognizing you didn't waste time just waiting. And then it made you look at your life in other ways and it made you document your life in other ways. What can I be doing? How can I be proactive?
Yeah.
How can I be progressive while I'm waiting? What am I waiting for? Because sometimes I'm waiting for this to happen, and in your proactiveness, you realize, no, I don't really want that to happen. I actually want this to happen.
That has happened to me a million times. I've
Hmm.
had a goal, and while I'm in action working on the goal, I realize, well, that's not really my goal.
Yeah.
That's not what I want to do. This is, but that's part of growth, right? That's okay when that happens because all of those steps that I took up until that point probably have still helped me with the other
Yeah.
thing that I decide that I want. So it's just being active and being aware in your own life and taking ownership and responsibility for the outcomes, and not blaming. I was in a state long time ago, I wanted to blame everybody,
Hmm.
for everything. And not to say that certain things didn't impact my life, but learning that the change was up to me was
Yes.
everything. It was hurtful at first. I was
Yeah.
mad. I remember the book that I read that kind of planted that seed. It was by Tony Robbins,
Hmm.
Awaken a Giant Within. And I was reading this book, and he's talking about how you're responsible for how you feel, and how you feel is always a choice. And I was
Yes.
I was just upset with him for saying that.
Yeah. Exactly.
I didn't like it because I'd never been introduced to that concept. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought, darn it, he's right.
Mm,
In any given moment, I really can change the way I feel because I just need to change what I'm focusing on. And so for me, that was really impactful. It was life changing
yeah.
just to have that. Yeah.
We never know what's going to happen to us in life.
No.
And some things can happen that are catastrophic,
Right.
and you go like, why? Why? And then once you've got over the initial shock or the pain of it, which we must go through, right? That's part of that process.
Yes.
You go,
Absolutely.
okay, what am I meant to do with this now? What am I meant to learn from this now? Who am
Yeah.
I meant to become because of this now?
Yeah.
And ask those questions and choose to feed what positivity can come out of it. Even I know that sometimes you think it's too dark. How can anything positive come out of that? Yet I've interviewed people through my years, 12 years of doing this, that have had the most horrific things happen to them that never should happen to a human being, that shouldn't happen to any life form whatsoever. They made a choice to go through the process of healing. And their choice today now is to help others who are on that same journey of how to heal from the pain of what was wrongly done to them. They made
Mhm.
that choice. They chose not to be the victim. They chose to learn from it and empower others how to learn and not be the victim.
Right. Yeah, I actually have an example of that very concept in the book too, because I talk about, there are things like you said that are going to happen in life. We can't control much outside of ourselves, right?
Right.
But even the worst things can be, you do have to go through a healing, but
Yeah.
what are you going to do with it? There's evidence all around us that with different people, the people you've interviewed, the person that I wrote about, there's
Mm.
evidence that says the most horrible thing can happen. You have to go through that pain. You
You
have to
have
go
to.
through a healing process. But if you focus on how can I use this, it changes lives.
Yeah.
Those things put you in a place in many instances where you can impact so many lives by telling your story.
Yes.
Positively impact so many lives by telling your story. And not only the story of what happened, but more importantly, how did you heal from that?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Because
know,
that's the illumination. And that is, I always say that inspiration begets invitation. When you're
yes,
inspired by somebody's story, it's inviting you. Well, what's your story? Are you accepting what is happening to you and just
hmm,
become complacent with it or given in? Or are you invited through that inspiration to go, no, I am so much more than where I'm at right now. And
right,
I want to make the choice to choose positive living. I'm going to
right,
find that path forward, right?
right.
So it's all up to us, but we don't have to do it alone because we have people like yourself along the way. And
Yeah,
that's the point, isn't it? Is that when you get to a point, I call it the sunny side of the street. We've come out of our darkness. We've got onto that road where we ask for help. And we're on that sunny side of the street now because we've made that choice to be so. You can't go across the street and pull people out of the dark until they're ready. They've
until they're
got to be
ready.
on the street. When they're actually on the street, you can say, come, take my hand, not a hand out, a hand up to show you the skills and the tools that you can apply to be on the sunny side of the street. But it has to be people's free will and choice to come out of that dark to say, I'm ready. You can't do anything to anyone until they're ready.
Hmm. Hmm. I often say, I will lend my hand out,
Mm.
and if you grab my hand, I'll help you get
Up.
out
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
up,
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't grab my hand today, then maybe in 6 months,
Yes.
but grabbing my hand is the indication that you want help,
Yeah.
and you're ready to move from where you are to where you would like to be, or someplace else. Sometimes people don't even know where they want to be.
No, just out of where they're at.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it goes back to what you were saying in the beginning about a smile. Sometimes
Yeah.
somebody is in that void and they don't realize that they're just There's not even dark, there's nothing. They feel transparent. And by you seeing them, acknowledging them, asking them questions, it helps them to go, I'm seen. What more do I need to do to be seen? Or maybe this is a person I can ask for help, and maybe you can help, or maybe you can recommend somebody else that can help. But it's just stepping out of transparency. And by looking at someone with kindness and compassion, we have no idea how we may be helping them become transparent.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the book, well, of course, which I love that title, I think it's absolutely great, is out now. How do people find it? And
It's on
also,
Amazon. Oh,
okay, no, that's great, but also how do people find you and what else are you offering?
okay. So the book is on Amazon, and it's also there's a link. I have a website. My website is enhancedlifeexperience.com. Um, and on my website, there's a link to my book as well. And additionally, on my website, I am offering a 15 to 20-minute coaching consultation session. And during that session, we'll discuss challenges, goals, desires for mindset transformation, and just decide if we're right fit, if we can work together,
Mhm.
if you'll take my hand.
Yes, yes.
And so those are, and again, the website is Enhanced Life Experience.
So enhancedlifeexperience.com. The book is
Dot
Well,
com.
of course, by Dr. Tamara Stevens on Amazon. And you can go to her Instagram, Dr. Tamara, lowercase Stevens, LinkedIn, Tamara Stevens, PhD, MSN. And but can also reach out to you from your site as well, and book that 15 minutes because you have no idea if that 15 minutes is going to change your life. It may be, you know what? No, I'm not ready, or you're not the right fit for me at this time. But what you have done is elevated me to open the door to go seeking. Because most of the time, people that are there, right, don't know how to ask for help. And just asking for help from one person, it might not be the right person, but it might be, oh, well, I had the courage to do this. So now it's set me off seeking to looking at what I do need. And that's a huge shift of getting somebody from being invisible to visibility.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
And you're still teaching nursing?
I am. I still teach nursing. I love my nursing students.
And nursing has changed so much because you've got nurses that can become practitioners now. So
Yes.
kind of in between. So the power, not quite of a doctor, but more of a doctor. And let's face it,
Mhm.
nurses many a time pick things up from their patients so much more diligently than a doctor does.
Yeah.
Doctor comes in, looks at the chart, asks some questions, probes around, and off they go. A nurse is there actually nursing, so knows more. And you have to have a heart to nurse, right? Because it's going to wrench your heart at times. It's going to
Mhm.
break your heart at times. I lived with somebody who's now 91. She was a nurse for a while, and she had a young girl die in her arms, and it just broke her, broke her, and she couldn't go back to nursing. But I
Yeah.
said, but what you didn't look at was the gift you gave her. She had no one else. She died in loving arms. Now, if we help our nurses to understand, you're not always going to win, but how you're going to help somebody, transcend to another dimension is very often the nursing gift you were given,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely.
And we need more nurses. I don't know about you in the States, but here in Canada, we are dire short of doctors and nurses. And I know it's a hard profession to be in, but if you are a person that truly cares about people and you really want to help people, this is a wonderful way of doing it and so desperately needed.
It really is. Nursing is like you said, it can be heartbreaking, but it's also very, very rewarding.
Yeah.
It's a hard field to get in, and you were right. We are short. We have a significant shortage here in the U.S. as well. So our numbers, as far as students are concerned, are growing.
Mm.
We're trying to get more students in the door.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, it's a tough job. And we recognize that. And then nothing like during COVID, I interviewed a few doctors and they were saying the amount of exorcists we're going to see at the end of COVID of nurses and doctors purely
Mhm.
from burnout. And as this one doctor said, I've signed more death certificates in the last few months than I have in my entire career.
Yeah.
Right. And, we've got to understand that post-traumatic stress is very much something that happens with nurses. And we
Yo,
need to support them on their journey, not just assume that they can cope with it, but along the way, they need to have the emotional and physical support they need in order to continue that job.
right,
And
right.
appreciation and gratitude.
And gratitude.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much again for sharing here today. And remember, the book is Well, of course, and it's on Amazon. And her site again, enhancedlifeexperience.com. Reach out and book that 15-minute chat and see whether you are a fit or not. I'm sure you are. Go with open mind, open heart. That's your participation. I am open to receive, not open to challenge prove to me. We don't need any of that. It is, I'm open to receive. And when you're open to receive, that's when you do receive. So go with an open mind and an open to receive heart, and you will actually get a great deal more out of it. So thank you so much, Tamara, for, sharing everything today. I'm writing the book, paying attention, IRS. I mean, really, who knew, right? Exactly. You never know
Right,
how ridiculous things are going to be, but how that observation of, of not filling in your time instead of just waiting and how it
right,
transcends to everything in life. So many people waste time wishing for something, but not doing anything to make it come true.
right. Exactly,
So
exactly.
be proactive in your own life, please. Please, please,
Mhm.
please. So thank you so much, hon. And to
Thank
everyone else
you.
out there, oh, wonderful having you here. And to everyone else out there, folks, remember, nothing happens unless you're willing to make it happen. There are people here to help you, skills, tools, cheerleading you, showing you the path, but you have got to walk it. That's how you achieve living positively. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.